Hi, I'm Lana.
Hi, I'm Sherri.
And this is Real Estate Tips with SNL. So today, we have the one and only Sara Lyman with us today, and we are thrilled. But why? Because we want to know a lot about you. So, Sara, give us a little background.
Well, first of all, I'm so honored to be here with both of you. I said right off the bat when I walked in, I know Lana a little bit better than Sherri, so I'm definitely a little more intimidated by Sherri. I think she's a phenomenal agent. Not that Lana isn't, but I've just got to have more transactions with you.
Even though you think I'm wound up.
Well, most of my kids are wound up. I've done a lot of work on myself to not be wound up, so I say that with the most amazing.
You're wound up. I'm intimidated.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
This should be fun.
Good thing you're
and I'm in the middle.
That's it.
I'm in the middle. Yeah, it's all good. So thank you. So I have been able to sell real estate with both of you pretty much in the same market for a long time. I wouldn't say since Jesus was a baby, but I've been licensed for 24 years, and I know both of you have been also in the industry for a long time. I do sell real estate a little bit more west from both of you, but every once in a while we overlap, which is amazing. You know, I was a broker owner here in Massachusetts for 17 years. Transitioned so that I could start with Tom Ferry and some coaching roles about 3 years ago. And it's just been a wild ride since then. So it's really, really interesting. You know, you get into this industry and you go and you go and you go and you think you know the direction that you want to go in. And then all of a sudden, life kind of throws you for a loop. And you and I have talked about this. Like at some point, you have to realize as a type A person, real estate is not everything. And I've been blessed to have 4 kids, and most of them are in college now or have graduated, and I just really wanted to take a step back and be able to enjoy some time with my youngest one. And this opportunity came up with Ferry International, and I decided to go for it. And it really feeds into my passion of this industry. I get to see things on a nationwide level, on a multi-brokerage level, because the broker aspect of it is something that I love so much and I love learning about. So it's been really interesting.
You know, I love what you just said about this, that you know, it's not just about real estate, but it is in the sense of, I remember when I started real estate, I always felt like everyone was like a tunnel. And I think I described this to you, is like real estate was this, but I didn't know, what is this? And you have like, all right, you were a broker owner for 17 years. I mean, talk about responsibility and learning so quickly and running it, and successful to now even going further and further, and now you're coaching. So this is great, and I'm sure this is not the end of it, because this is probably some more things that are opening up for you.
I'm pretty much open to whatever the future holds, and I'm not like I'm really, really working hard on not focusing on what's next. I'm really focusing on being present, and I know that's something that you and I have talked about. But I think no matter if you're an agent, if you're a broker owner, you're a coach, whatever you are, in this industry, you're always focused on what's next. As a small business owner, you're always focused on what do I have to do next? What's next? There's never time to be just here. And right now,
I'm a planner. I have a spreadsheet for everything, my life included. And I don't recommend it.
Truthful.
Because I'm not making that up. I follow everything. I have checklists. I do all of that. But with this job, this career that we've chosen, and you're trying to be a planner for the unexpected, you have to plan for the unexpected, and it happens all the time. So when you think you're on that course, all of a sudden you're shifting from one direction to the next, and it's constant. And I think that the success comes from being able to handle the shift. And if you need to get back on course or even just follow a new path, you're okay.
Tell me why or who the clientele is that's coming to you for coaching, and what type of coaching?
So we do productivity coaching, success coaching, profitability coaching. So very different from like the classes you get at NAR.
Okay.
I've taken the classes to be an NAR certified trainer, but that's more of, you know, how to versus scalability.
Yep.
So we really coach on scalability, meeting our clients where they are in their business and seeing what the minute little micro needle shifts are that we can do to either buy them back more time or to make them more money, or preferably in the end to do both.
Right.
So I have about 30 clients right now, and I meet with them sometimes once a week. I meet with them sometimes twice a month. It really depends, and they're from all over the country on all different levels. So I have agents that have only been in the industry 6 months, and I have a couple in Idaho, which we just launched a whole brokerage for their entire state.
Wow.
So you're meeting like through Zoom?
Yeah, we meet through Zoom.
And is it a group that's setting? Is it one-on-one?
It's all one-on-one coaching, and then we do group coach. I offer 2 bonus group sessions a month. So like this afternoon, I have a group session, and it's typically between 8 to 15 of my agents that'll jump on, and we just share ideas. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about industry changes, how to handle those things, and stuff like that. Every once in a while, it's in person. So I got to go to Georgia. My husband went on a work trip to Georgia, and I had 3 clients in that state earlier this year, and I got to go and meet with all of them and see their offices and hug them in real life, which was awesome. I'm going to Dallas this weekend, and I get to see most of them because there's a big conference there this weekend. Another one that I went to in February in Florida. So there's a little bit of travel involved, but not a ton, which is nice.
It's nice to have the one-on-one, the face.
Oh, it's so nice.
So I want to share a story I did starting in probably like my fifth year in selling. It took me a long time to get going. Like, I had the energy and the drive, and I wanted to work. I'm a worker, but I didn't know how to do it, and there wasn't anyone around. So I hired what they called a business coach, and the business coach had me doing things like, okay, we're going to get off the phone now, and you're going to go do this. It's accountability. I did every single session. I had to do something outside my comfort zone. And people say, well, your comfort zone, you don't have a lot of issues. Oh, yeah, I did. So I had to do every single one of them. One of them was I had to create a video resume. Now, this is back in, I think, 2009. So if you look back, I had to do this. But now I am not a high-level agent. And I said, I got to do what? It took me 3 weeks doing my walking in the morning to record myself, to listen to myself, like, what are you talking about? To
Is this
actually,
the hiking video?
Yes.
Okay.
To saying to the videographer, I am not going to sit behind a desk. I'm just not a behind a desk person. So I think I was the first one in the area. Anyways, I was walking and I did this video. And I said, I did the video. I got through it. I was sweating. I'm thinking, no one's going to see it. Great. We'll put it somewhere. And I go to do a CEU class, and don't they shine it up on the board? Let's show everybody what you should be doing. And I'm like, and I never even saw it. I said, oh, for the love, right? But here's the piece that I thought was amazing. If you do the things outside your comfort zone, now you become, so you brought up a point about the changes that are happening. And we were having a brainstorm session and in our office, and we were talking about you just have to practice outside your comfort zone. So when things are coming at you, start practicing easy. So we are 20-something years in the business, 22, 24, and we're sitting there role-playing. That still makes me sweat to do role-playing. So here I am role-playing with them, and I'm like, I don't know, what do you think? And I felt comfortable what I was saying, but here I am not necessarily being judged, but here we are role-playing. But this is the practice you need to do.
Yeah.
So let's just give a little background for anybody who's listening. So on August 17th, changes were
This week
initiated.
we survived the
yeah.
real estate Y2K. We're here today.
Yeah. And so with these changes in real estate, it's really just understanding how we're presenting ourselves, how we're explaining it to our clients, and we're learning as we're going too. It's something new for everybody, but I loved during our role playing how you simplified it, Lana, and you just made it like it's not really a big deal. We're just kind of making this one little switch, and I mean, there's more steps to it than that, but when you just kind of say, we got this, we're gonna make it happen, and it's real estate.
But that's her tenaciousness.
Yes.
And that's her outlook on things. My outlook is very similar. I truly believe that everything that happens to me in life is happening for me, not to me. So we have so many agents in our industry right now that think this is happening to us. This is an attack on us. And the sky is falling. And for those agents, the sky will fall. You know, they are not going to have the wherewithal to look back and think, what could I have done better as a practitioner in an industry I love to make the experience better for our client?
Yes.
You know, and I think the role playing, the scripting, not practicing on your clients, understanding the language that we were using at times with people was inappropriate, understanding that brokerages were running themselves in the wrong direction. Lana said early on, you come into this industry and you have like these blinders on, or that no one was there to help her. And the reality is, I just had this conversation with one of my clients this morning. You come into this industry and it's like you're all of a sudden supposed to know what to do. And currently, most people think we open doors and we bake cookies. But to what you said, if you want to have longevity in this career, if you want to have clients that love you, that trust you, if you don't want to get sued, you have to be the problem solver.
Yes.
My number one skill is problem solving. That is why, as a real estate professional, people hire me. Because when someone hires us to sell a house, they're literally handing us $500,000, $300,000, $800,000 and saying, this is one of the biggest financial decisions of my life, and I trust you.
Right.
How many people have you worked with that actually have that mentality?
Right. Right. And you want to take that care and diligence and you know, the fiduciary responsibility serious. I think that what we're doing in this industry is, you know, catapulting things to the next level, and we're doing it in a way that is protecting those with us. You know, I don't know, maybe I'm simplifying things or making it sound more complicated, but you know, we've got these changes that we are you know, implementing, and we're all independent contractors. We are not. You're going to take with it, and you mentioned this, Lana, you know, this morning as well as yesterday. You know, we're all going to run our businesses, our own personal businesses, the way that suits us. You know, and that's going to be our norm, and that's what we're going to take from all of this is just sort of run your business the way you want to, and follow the law while you're doing it, plain and simple.
Yeah,
But I think it's so hard because you know, Massachusetts is a little bit different than other states work, but you come into our industry and you're told you have to join a board, you know, and so we have a division of professional licensure. We have a board of realtors. They both have similar codes of ethics and laws, but they're not the same. And then we have our local board, and then we have our MLS, and then you have your brokerage policy, and then you have your own business policy. So there's so many different things that you have to put into account, you know, when you think about that. And so I think that's where a lot of agents right now are a little bit lost. And if they're not willing to have these discussions and talk, then I'm worried about where they're going to go in the future.
I think it really is. It's a lot of training. When you get your real estate license, you took well, now it's a 40-hour class, right? And that teaches you to pass a test. It's not teaching you to sell real estate. So I hear from people all the time, oh, well, I've got a real estate license. I'm like, well, that's nice, you know, and you know, I got my driver's license too, but if I didn't get out there and drive every day, I wasn't going to be a good driver.
That's such a great analogy.
So yeah, you know, it just, you need to get to that point. And you know, that means you show up. You show up to the office meetings, you show up for training, you take extra courses, and you brainstorm with your colleagues, you know, find that person.
I think that's the hardest thing within the industry is I find that we are competitors, number one. So that's what people, when I see people's agents, they're saying, we're your competition. Okay, well, we're competing, yes, but not to be better and to understand and to put it out to the consumer that everyone should have the information. Of course, you're not going to connect with every single consumer. I'm not going to connect with some of them, and you're going to be a better fit for someone. But the collaboration is the hardest thing that agents have. I don't know what they're holding on to. Like, I would collaborate with you.
Yeah,
You work in a different
I think there's a huge shift in that right now, and I think that there are brokerage models that are really, really changing that, which is amazing to see. But it is, and I think one of the reasons why we're in the situation as an industry that we are is because we were so focused on the competition, and we were so focused on better, better, better versus understanding we are in a service industry. We provide a service.
Yes.
And if you choose to elevate that service for your customer experience, you're going to get more clients. And if you choose to focus on you, you're not going to, and there's a lot of agents that are learning that right now.
Yeah. And that's why we're doing these podcasts. I mean, it's putting information out there. I don't necessarily think because we got on the air that means suddenly I'm going to double my business.
No.
It's having that opportunity to collaborate and do it in a way that's also hopefully helping people that are listening.
And I think what you girls do is you get to tie so many different parts of not only your community, but the other service providers in our industry into what you do. And that's really helping just educate everyone in this general area and anyone, on an outer reach that's listening to your podcast, which is awesome.
For a long time, Sarah, I don't even know if you knew this about us. When Sherri first came into our office, we tried really hard to create a so-called team. Try to put two strong-head women together
we
for
failed.
a team. Boom. But anyways, no.
You just didn't have the right blueprint.
No.
You could totally do
I think
it, but
that's fair
it
to
wasn't
say.
the
Yeah.
right blueprint.
Right.
Yeah.
And our goal has always been, this one thing that both of us have, has always been resource. Like, how do we get this information out to the consumer? Because what's in here, a consumer can ask you one question and you're like, boom, I have so much to tell them about.
Yeah.
Like, where can I put this on a billboard, all this stuff so that they can learn? And it's not that we're better or whatnot. It's just that we want to give all that information.
Yeah.
So when I tell people, listen to the podcast or, just give me a call, it's not because I want to be your salesperson. I literally have stuff that I think is going to be important for you to make a decision down the road.
And you genuinely care about our industry.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you educate yourself on the levels that you have.
Lana will call me up and say, oh, I need to be inspired. Can you just can you do something for me? Can you say, okay, all right, let's just put me on the spot.
Give me a little pep talk.
Okay.
I got that call yesterday at 7:30 a.m.
You know what? And I for one love that she calls me for that. But there are those other times that she'll hang up and she'll go, well, that didn't inspire me.
Well, think about this business. It is a lonely business. I've said this over and over. We meet people for a short period of time, generally, and then they're gone. And then you meet another one, and you're gone. And then you meet another one. And how much time do you have really to collaborate and get together? No, you pick up and you're like, hey, I got this, can we talk about this? How can we? So you really are by yourself making these decisions. So you got to pick up and learn, and you just got to be out there. So I hear this all the time. Just go do an open house and stuff like that. It's not that mentality of just doing it. It's going out there and actually talking to people. We had the mayor here, and just sitting here and listening to him, what his main
It was Dean.
but the main thing he came across was talk to people, go visit people, right? You talk with them, you learn about them. So now you have an experience, and now you can share with other people, right? I mean, that's really what it is all about. Because you have people coming and going for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
Right?
And we, as real estate practitioners, agents, however you want to call us, we are seeing our clients on the most intimate level. A level that most people, most industries, other than maybe a doctor's office, gets to see them on. So people are inviting us into their home. We're seeing where they're the most vulnerable. They're letting us know about their financial situations. They're letting us know about deaths, sicknesses, divorces. We have the most, like you said, intimate relationships, but they're so short term. Yes, we stay in contact with them and we love on them after, but it's not the same as when you're in a 45 or 60-day transaction and there's so much stress. Not only are we problem solvers, but we have to emotionally diffuse situations all the time. And a phenomenal real estate agent can do that. And the other real estate agents that don't are the ones that might do 1 or 2 or 3 transactions a year. But are those the people that you really want to trust with $500,000?
Right.
My husband had a bad experience before knowing me with selling a house and did not trust his agent. felt like they ended up doing most of the work, felt like this person just kind of showed up at the closing table to get their check, and that was it. So when we first met, talk about a good first date, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a realtor, oh, those people. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I got very defensive, and somehow or other we had another date. But but here we are married, and he has said more than once that his attitude about what realtors do has changed a lot, because he sees the hours that I put in. He sees that I'm taking phone calls all different
on
times.
vacation.
And that we on our honeymoon, along comes the laptop, and I'm in the hotel room and I'm taking care of stuff. And like, he did not realize what goes on behind the scenes. Now, I can't speak for the experience that he had. It might have been that he wasn't matched with the right person, or maybe that person was doing stuff behind the scenes that he had no idea about. And I often think that I don't want to sit here and problem dump on my clients just so they know that I'm doing a good job. But if I do such a good job, they may not realize how much I was doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Tell me, where do you think the real estate industry is going with some of these changes, or maybe just what you're hearing across? You're nationwide, right? So now you're a coaching nation. You're hearing things. Because, I mean, I'm in a coaching group on Fridays, and I talk to Nationwide. And it's interesting what I hear differently. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the people that I get to collaborate with and be inspired by, is we're really, really focused with our clients, just getting back more on a relational and service related model.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think that one of the big misconceptions from the lawsuit is that there was no negotiation in anything that we did. And the reality was there was always negotiation. It's just the norm was to hire a traditional real estate agent, And so really explaining what that means, really explaining and sharing the stories that go into getting us to the closing table, sharing the pitfalls, maybe not at the time, but like I said to a client this morning, that's not a story for next week. It's a story for 3 months from now, but we have to share those insights because we have spent a tremendous amount of energy making our job seem easy. During COVID, we spent a tremendous amount of energy picking on each other, picking on consumers, telling buyers they couldn't find houses, when across the country we've been in a housing crisis, I would say since 2018 at least, an inventory crisis. And not understanding the emotional toll that those things take on people. So I think if we can, as an industry, really hone in on the service that we can provide and the relationships we can build with not only our clients, but the communities we serve, then that's my hope for where things are headed. Do I ever think that people are going to buy and sell houses on a .com? I think that there may be some people that do that. I know that there have been crypto sales with houses similar to that, or NFT sales. But I think that we diffuse emotions, and this is a very emotional decision that people make. When it should be made with a business mindset, 9 times out of 10, it's made on an emotional mindset.
Right.
I
think we're all putting the brakes on and then starting from stop.
Yeah.
And maybe that was good. Maybe the opportunity to reflect on business models that we have within our own, independent businesses was a good thing. The buyer exclusive contracts, did we get too loosey-goosey with, I'm just going to meet you at a property and show it to you, and we'll sign this form right outside the door, or I've gotten offers where it's been signed the same day, that it wasn't signed when they showed the property. So now these are being put into place because somebody told us we had to do it. When the reality is we should have been doing it all along, but we got comfortable with routine, and I'm not speaking to everybody, but I think, because sometimes I think my routines are pretty good, but maybe this starting over again is saying, okay, now we're going to pay closer attention to this, and I'm going to make sure that you fully understand that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the consumer is taking a lot more time interviewing, and maybe not the word interviewing, but asking questions and whatnot. the buyer side, where you've always been interviewed by a seller, you're always competing with another agent, but the buyer is actually taking the time to call and ask questions and realizing they can do that.
Yeah.
I am a heavy lister. I definitely do still work with buyers, but it's inviting. I do have a lot of repeat business, a lot of referral business, but it's inviting to hear, and it's not just first home buyers. They're calling and said, I haven't bought in like 10 years, can I ask you some questions? Perfect.
Yeah.
And that, I feel, is now a level up, and we now have a better service for them. Where I think before, it's just like you said, I think I remember one time writing an offer on the back of my car because, I'm like, okay, let's just write this up here.
Right.
And I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot to go into when you talk to people and write notes and get to know them, because you can add other things into your offer that is going to be beneficial, because they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you're finding out, oh, you have a dog, oh, you have friends, oh, you have this, oh, you want to do this, oh, let's put this in there.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know I could put that in there. I'm like, of course you want to put that in there. But we don't know that until we
Right.
ask. And so I think a lot of times, we do come across people, the consumer thinks we're salesy because we're asking the questions, but I'm glad they're asking, because now I can help them. They realize.
Well, the low inventory has a lot to do with that too, where it was like this rush. Oh,
Yeah.
this thing just hit the market 30 minutes ago. We got to get in there first. We got to get the offer in first, and that is where I'm glad we're putting the brakes on, because that just took away a lot of that service that we should be providing to our clients, because it was all sped up because you are so afraid to miss out on, the one house that came on the market in your town that you want, and
for buyers, I think finally really starting to understand through the media, unfortunately, that advocacy is so important. We have had so many buyers that if they're not in a formal buyer agency agreement and they're just being handled by a transactional agent, they don't understand the advocacy that comes along with that.
Right.
And I think coming out of the last 4 years where we were so sped up and so busy, there are nightmare stories of buyers who were not represented properly. We have buyers that overpaid. We have buyers that didn't get home inspections done the right way. We have buyers that lost deposits, and really leaning into, unfortunately, those nightmare stories and getting them to understand why advocacy is so important. And you're only going to get that through a really good buyer's agent.
right. Right.
We have to educate those consumers so that they can make the best decisions possible. And that, I really feel, got lost the last 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I totally agree, Sarah. That really, you just hit home right there. And I think I knock on wood, I haven't heard from my clients that they've been in a position, but I have looked back at, in the past, the quickest buyer that turned around to resell because of unhappy, not necessarily the service, but the whole process of it, was 6 months for me.
Yep.
So that's sad.
Yes.
And thank goodness they were in a market that they could sell
could
and
do
not
it.
have to bring 50 grand to the table.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Know it. Home inspections. I know we talked on the phone a little bit about that.
Wait a minute, I
And we
wasn't
don't know.
involved.
No, you weren't. So there. This new home inspection affordability, I don't know enough about it to speak on it, but have you heard anything about this new bill?
So, yeah, I had a conversation with a mutual colleague of ours, Donna Millette, a couple of weeks ago. First thing I heard of it, and then I realized there was something in my email that we were supposed to sign from MAR, Massachusetts Association of Realtors. And then I emailed our local board, and the response I got was very short. Oh, the governor just signed it into effect. So I'm not sure if my understanding of it is correct, but for the first time in Massachusetts history, a seller cannot stop a buyer from having a home inspection. That everyone has the right, a buyer, a consumer has the right to waive it, but a homeowner has to allow a home inspection to be done if a buyer consumer wants
So
one.
I feel a little ignorant to that because I didn't know that the seller ever had a choice
Yes.
of saying no to a home inspection. I mean, certainly there's negotiation pieces all along.
In Massachusetts, it was only mandated that if a buyer or consumer wanted a lead paint test done, they had to have the right to do that. That's the only stipulation. So a seller would always be allowed to say no to radon, say no to well water testing. Back in the day, think about how they used to do well quantity tests. They would want to run people's wells for 3 or 4 hours. That might cause a problem with someone's well. So I can completely understand a seller saying, no, I don't want that test done. But my understanding now is there are some pretty heavy fines if a seller were to say, no, I don't allow you to do that. But I think it's one of those things where our brokerages really haven't said anything to us.
No.
I specifically asked my broker last week, and she's like, first I've heard about it. And I was like, okay, well.
I know, I reached out
Moving
to
on.
our office manager, and we actually, is it next week or maybe it's even this week? I can't remember. We have a lunch and learn coming up with where we're going to get a little more information. So this might be premature
From your
to even
brokerage
have
or
it.
from, oh, can I come? Can
So-
you guys invite me to that?
Yeah,
course.
absolutely.
Okay, good, because I want to know more about it, and no one's telling me,
I
like not even the
know.
board.
Yeah, and I think she's bringing in a home inspector to talk about it, and I'll send you some information
that
on
would be
that.
awesome.
But yeah, I just feel like I read it. I tried to.
Right.
I'm not a lawyer, and it's a bunch of legalese, and I started Googling it and trying to more Healy signs. Okay, great. So what does that mean? But it seems like it's one piece of a much bigger puzzle with the affordability for Massachusetts homes, and that's just one part of it. So hopefully we'll have a follow-up in the future where we can sort of talk and say, well, this is what changed, but maybe nothing really changes other than the fact that a seller has been aware that they can't deny.
Yeah. And the current administration is trying to do so much to shift affordability. There's so much going on around the communities that the T runs along, trying to improve zoning regulations and stuff to build larger sized dwellings. The ADU thing that just went into effect, super interesting, especially because I'm mostly rural Massachusetts. We have septic systems. We have very strict zoning where other parts of the state maybe don't have such strict zoning bylaws. So I'm really curious how that's going to shift things in the future.
How will that for you? Because I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, you do have septic, right? So septic wells. How will you be able to utilize that?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with the building inspectors of 2 of the towns that I primarily work in, and they've said, yeah, this is great, but if you're on a 3-bedroom septic and you want to add an ancillary dwelling to your backyard, you're going to have to upgrade your septic system. So there will be additional costs involved for everyone.
It might not work for everybody. Just because it's saying even though your town has zoned against it, you are now allowed to do it, but there's a cost involved with it. So really, it may not make sense for somebody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
But at least the option's there. I have several clients from across the country, particularly on the western, coastline where ADUs are more norm, and it's so interesting to me to think that you've turned your garage into a small apartment and it's totally legal, and how great is that? You know what I mean?
Family compounds coming back.
Well, and we think about cogenerational living and how that, especially in our area, has become much more of a trend, and people want that for affordability, but also to help our, elders age in place. And it's so hard to find. I have another lot by my house. I would love to build 2 tiny homes, one for my in-laws and one for my mom, so I at least get a break sometimes from them.
Exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought of that when they first said this can happen, was more about the elderly. So whether it's a family member or somebody that you take care of, that would have been. It's very helpful for people. Because I know a lot of people are like, I wish I could afford to buy something with an in-law or something like that. Well, this may happen. So I think that's pretty powerful. I like to see how it pans out.
Yeah, me too. And also across our state, they've really become a little bit more lax on minimum square footage size, which is nice to see. I know in Athol and Orange, it used to be like you couldn't build anything less than 762 square feet, and now they've gone down to 500 square feet. So this phenomenon of tiny living and simplifying, I think, is going to get a little bit easier through all of this
Do you think
change,
they
which will be
shrink the
interesting.
size of the lots as well? No.
Out my way, I don't know. Green space is a big thing where I am.
Yeah. I don't know if I could live in something that small. Not maybe alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too.
Yeah, not with someone.
Me too. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting because I can remember 15 years ago, everybody wanted bigger, 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 bigger.
Yes.
And
now
we're
they're starting to
seeing
shrink it down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or wanting the one level living, or And I guess that really depends on the client too, but things have changed for sure. And I think COVID had a lot to do with that. You know, people wanting the home offices, people wanting to love where they live because they're spending more time at home. And, you know, that's real estate.
And I do like the fact that people were actually utilizing the space to the max in their houses during COVID. So you found ways, I could create an office here, I could create this. So they're getting creative.
But even now with all of the new construction you do, I mean, you must see it. The way that houses are laid out now is so much different than it was 10 years ago. The way that we look at the layouts and the room sizes and what can we fit here, or how is this space used best, it's just so much different than a 3-bedroom colonial with everything on the second floor.
Open space. Everybody wanted open space. I want the floor, the floor plan to just flow and have open space and room to room. Now people are saying, put up those walls.
Yeah, no more high ceilings.
Yeah.
So interesting. And that's why we love it. That's why the three of us love this, because it's ever changing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, because people ask like, oh my gosh, Lana, you've been in this business for this long. And I'm like, it evolves constantly. You know, it's funny, people say, oh, what's happening with that new law that came out? I'm thinking, okay, well, it evolves. It's another thing that evolves. Yeah. I think the general consumer thinks that every year we do the same thing in and out. But I don't know about you, but my business plan has to change because of what's happening. Like shift and change. Yeah. How do I do marketing? I mean, my goodness, I can't keep up with it. One good thing I love about you, Sara, is you're really good on social media. How do you have the time for that?
I'm really not that good. When I look at my clients from across the country and I see what they're doing, I feel like I'm mediocre at best.
Really?
And I feel like, you go through different stages in life. Like right now I'm in a very quiet stage. Like I'm not showing up as much as I used to. I got called out yesterday by one of my girlfriends in Texas who noticed that. And it's I'm really focused right now on figuring out how my business is evolving for my clients versus where it was 3 or 4 years ago, where it was like just showing up all the time on social media as much as you can.
Yep.
I think that you have to have consistency, but I think it's okay to get quiet when you need to get quiet, and it's okay to share when you need to share. I used to feel like I had to share all the time. And so I think it changes, and that's okay.
We all need the me time.
And it's okay to be selfish.
And
that's what age is teaching me. Age is teaching me it is 100% okay to be selfish.
Yeah.
All
right.
But I think
I'm selfish and I'm proud of it.
Good. But I do think with our industry, unfortunately, we are at a time where technology shows us we have to have the social proof. So like I was super impressed by Lana when earlier this year you took the initiative and you started this like video challenge, because let's be honest, not a ton of people in our area are doing really great on social media. You've got a younger population of realtors that are out there and they're all over the place. And the reality is you could be doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. And if you don't have the social proof for consumers to see, oh, she sold a house, or oh, she's at a home inspection, or oh, she's doing this, then they might think that you're out of business if you're not calling them up and talking to them or sharing other parts of your industry with them. So the social proof is important. I think that to do it successfully, you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Right.
So like all of my clients know, September, I want the whole 30 days. What does the month look like for you? Who are you talking to? Figure that out. Make sure that you're posting 2 to 3 times a week. And what do those posts look like?
But you have to there's got to be balance there too.
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly real estate, they shut you off.
Or look at me.
Yes.
I think one of the things you and I talked about was it's so important right now to have learn from me content versus look at me content.
Yes.
And I think that's a huge transition that we've seen in the last 18 months.
Absolutely.
I love when they tell me, so I have someone that helps me with my social stuff, and they'll say, could you show me some more of the personal videos? I'm like, how many more hiking videos do you need to see? I mean, but it's interesting when I'm doing them is when I'm hiking, I'm not thinking about some things, and then some things pop in my head. So it is kind of fun, right? Because I did probably do my best thinking when you're by yourself.
Yep.
So you pop on that thing, and I get it, right? So I get that's important, and I like watching other people and hearing, oh, that's a cute little idea, or that's a neat thing. Because I think we talked about this before. The biggest thing that I like, oh, we were talking with Jeremy on his podcast. The biggest thing I like about real estate is the constant learning you have.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think I absorb as much as she does, but I'm telling you, I feel that every day I'm inspired when I learn something new or a new way of thinking. I got pads and pads of there's notes everywhere because at least I will change something or try something. And that's the most exciting thing about this, It's very exciting.
Well, and I also feel like, in a way, I'm happy that there are those times that a transaction gets derailed a little bit, because that's where we learn.
Oh, yeah.
That is where we learn. I when you start talking about experience, it's not necessarily, I've been in the business for 100 years, but I've sold 5 houses,
Yes. Yeah.
It's, I have done, 500, 600, 1,000 transactions, and I feel like I've seen it all until I see something I have never seen before. But I hope that I'm taking that experience and helping to, prevent it from happening again.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah. So maybe we do a little social media video, what not to do in real estate,
And those are the things that consumers want to see. That's what buyers and sellers and homeowners want to know about our industry, because let's face it, you've got so many TV shows about real estate.
Oh.
They've got a whole channel, HGTV.
Yep.
But the reality is that it all makes it look glamorous. And I know between the three of us, there are days that we are so beaten down. There's days that we cry. There's nights that we don't sleep because sometimes the furthest thing is from, glamorous.
Glamour.
Yeah. And, when you care deeply, you take it with you, and it's hard to just say, oh, it's just business. I'm going to shake this off. It's now part of my fabric, and that's just how I am. So,
That's why we're all round a little too tight.
That's it.
Thank you.
So it's not just you.
I knew there was going to be some sunshine from that painful image wound up so shy.
Well, I think we could go on and on.
Oh my gosh, Sarah.
I really would love to have you back at some point where we can, now that we've got this whole new world of real estate. I was going to sing too.
Oh,
it's a
there
whole
it is.
new world. There you go. So now that we've got our whole new world of real estate and we've got this new home inspection thing going on, and when we learn more from all of it, let's get together again and let's talk about how this improved or changed our business model.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
All
Thank
right.
you, Sarah.
Yes,
Welcome.
thanks for coming.
You, girls.
So now if you want to find Sara, you can find her at Lair, right? And where are you?
Yep. So I'm at Lair Realty Partners, the hometown team in Athol. We also have an office in Templeton, or you could follow me on Instagram at your homegirl, Sara Lyman.
All right.
Nice.
And
what about your coaching?
Yeah, if you have questions about coaching, you can DM me, send me a text message, or you can learn more at ferryinternational.com.
Great. And if you're looking for Lana or I, you can find us at Coldwell Banker in Leominster. We thank you for tuning in. We thank Sara for coming today. And, please like, subscribe, and let us know if there's any content that you would like for us to put out there with our next podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.